Welcome to the Hank Haney Podcast, recording here on nofilter.net. You can hear the Hank Haney Podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. You can see the Hank Haney Podcast on the Hank Haney YouTube channel, Hank Haney /podcast. And today's podcast is brought to you by Bet Online, which is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds while the games are being played. When the game's over, you can head on over to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind on one of the over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Use the promo code BLEAV for your 50% bonus on your first deposit. That's Bet Online, where the game starts. BetOnline.ag is where you find it. All right, a little more U.S. Open talk today on the Hank Haney Podcast. I want to get into a little Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau, a little contrast here. A lot went on. One guy got it done. One guy didn't get it done. Bryson DeChambeau wins the tournament. He said that he did not want to lose again. Well, nobody wants to lose again. Rory's trying to break a 10-year drought at a major championship, considered one of the greatest ball strikers ever, one of the greatest players ever. I don't know where he ranks historically, but with his 4 major championships, he's right up there. I don't know if he's top 10. I don't know if he's top 15. I don't know if he's top 20 of greatest players in the history of the game. But he's up there. I mean, he's got a heck of a resume, and he didn't get it done. Bryson DeChambeau did get it done. Now Bryson had the heartbreak at the PGA Championship, but he lost by a shot. But he didn't. It's not like he missed a short putt on the last hole. It's not like he hit a ball out of bounds on the last hole, or even missed the green. He kind of got beat there. I mean, Schauffele made a heck of a play on 18 at Valhalla, and you know what? That kind of, sometimes it happens. Golf's a hard game, and guys can say I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to lose again, like Bryson said at the Open. But everybody says that, and everybody wants to win again, and they're all really good players. So it's never easy. I thought the way Bryson DeChambeau just kept hanging in there. There's something about the psychology of making par putts versus birdie putts. Like I think through the history of the game, there's been a lot of players that are better at making par putts than they are at birdie putts. There's something about just not wanting to give a shot back, and the mentality there, and he certainly did that. He made some great par putts, made some great saves. Wasn't driving in play a lot, but coming out with par. And it just kind of goes to show you that if you can just hit it far enough, and you hit it far enough, I mean, you got a wedge in your hand. I mean, it seems like he's hitting wedge all the time. Like I don't know where he ever hits more than 8-iron. There's 200-yard par threes, and he's hitting 8-iron. The guy just hits 8, 9, wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge. I mean, that's all he hits. And I mean, you still have to hit it straight, and you got to make the putt, and it's hard to hit the greens even with a wedge when you're playing at Pinehurst. But boy, oh boy, just everybody who listens to the podcast who plays golf, and I'm sure that's pretty much everybody. I mean, think what it would be like if you just hit wedge in pretty much every hole on the golf course. I mean, it'd just be it'd be a whole different game, and it is a different game for him. He's a great player. He just plays a totally different game than really anybody's played. I mean, now it's not that far off the formula of what Nicklaus was the longest hitter. Tiger was the longest hitter, but Bryson he just smashes that thing, and just like it's crazy. You could win a U.S. Open and hit that few of fairways on Sunday. And he shot one over par, but that's still a good score to U.S. Open, because I mean it's a par. They take a par 72 and they turn the U.S. Open into a par 70. So he still shot 71. And he had a 3-shot lead. So to shoot 71 with a 3-shot lead, I would have thought that's gonna, that's a no problem win right there. But that was a big problem win, because Rory McIlroy, ripped off, 4 birdies in 5 holes, starting at number 9, and he birdies 9, 10, 12, and 13, and that was a heck of a run. Now this is what Rory does. They'll talk about how Rory was, in this drought and hadn't won a major, but he's so many times in the top 10 and this and that, and he's going to break through. But when you think about it, like how many times has Rory had a real chance to win a major championship? Like since 2014, how many times has he had a real chance to win a major championship and didn't get it done? And when I mean real, I'm talking about on the lead or tied for the lead on Sunday. Rory McIlroy was on the lead on Sunday. Now, historically, players that are on the lead or tied for the lead on Sunday do not get it. They do not get it done a vast majority of the time. I think Tiger maybe won like 50% of the time he was on the lead or tied for the lead on Sunday, maybe a little higher than that, but not much. And typically it's a lower number. It's a way lower number. I remember this was a statistic I had in my book, The Big Miss, and I talked about how great Tiger was at winning when he was on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday. But it's not automatic. Just because you're on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday doesn't mean you're automatically going to win the tournament. So I don't, I look at Rory's record in majors, and he hadn't won since 2014. He's had a lot of top 10 finishes. And people say, well, he's had so many top 10 finishes. But how many of those top 10 finishes were backdoor? In other words, really not even in the tournament on Sunday. Goes out there, immensely talented, goes out there and shoots, 66, a 65, a 67, a 60-something. And he comes out of nowhere and he backdoors an 8th place finish. Ends up losing by, a few or more shots, never tied for the lead, never on the lead. And then everybody says, well, he's got, he's top 10 and all the time, but he can't quite win. Well, in most of those tournaments, he wasn't really even in the tournament. I mean, you're in the tournament, serious contention is defined by on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday. So I don't know how many times since 2014. I have to go back and look at all these statistics, and I'm not, I hadn't done that. But it just, when I'm just going through my recollection, I just don't recall that that's been the case. So I understand Roy didn't get it done, but to me, this is like one time he didn't get it done. And I'm not saying it's one time in his career, but since 2014, how many times did he lose a lead on Sunday where he was tied for lead or on the lead and lose it? And I don't think it's much, and you're not going to win them all. You're just not. So I'm not trying to, necessarily defend, because everybody's on Rory for the, bogeying two, what did he bogey? 3 out of the last 4 holes. And that's not good. I mean, there's no denying that. That's not that's nothing to, that's going to shake a fella up. And he shook. He got shook up. But it's a U.S. Open. He hasn't been in that kind of position in a long time for a major championship. Now, he's been in that position for other tournaments. But a lot of these tournaments he wins. He wins on he'll win. He's won a lot boat racing them where he just wins by a bunch. But he had things going for him in that tournament. Making those putts that big. He started off the first hole today making a big putt, and then he made 2 30-footers and a 20-footer, and that should be enough to propel him to a victory on a Sunday when you got a chance. But it didn't happen because DeChambeau, got the job done on 18. Rory couldn't get it done, and Bryson did. They both got bad breaks on 18, but Bryson hit the remarkable shot. I mean, one guy, Rory, misses a putt, not an easy putt. That was not let's not, and people talk about he missed his short putt. I mean, they act like he missed the tap. And now 16, that was awful. I mean, that was not a hard putt. I mean, that one I got no excuse for. But 18, I mean, my goodness gracious, that was a hard putt. Downhill, left to right, lightning fast greens, and you aim it at the hole. And one of the announcers said, you could play this inside the hole. Well, I mean, you could, but you'd have to hit that thing at a speed that was going probably 6 feet by the cup if you miss. And not many players have the guts for that one. Rory wasn't one of them. He played it out there 4 inches outside the cup and still missed it on the low side, which was like when I was watching him line that putt up, I'm like, well, this is not an easy putt. I mean, this is far from easy here. I thought he's going to make it because he, he made so many of them. But with his stroke, see, he's a little closed to open. And that's his stroke. You watch it close. He's not an open to close guy. He's a little closed to open. And you got that left to right putt, and you're a little closed to open, and he misses on the low side. That's a tough putt. He'd rather been 6, 7 feet. I think he'd rather been 7 feet uphill, right to left, than 4 feet downhill, left to right. I think he would have rather been that on 18. But he had the bad finish. Bogey 3 out of the last 4 holes, and Bryson got it done with the remarkable shot on 18. And that's a shot for the ages. Rory made mistakes, but at the end he lost by, the other guy making a great shot, and it shook him up. And people are all over him for not facing the music. And I'm not a Rory defender. And people say, well, you got, look what Bryson did when he lost. Bryson's in a different place mentally. I mean, he's come a long way, this guy, and he acted in like a champion when he went out at the PGA Championship and congratulated Xander Schauffele and had incredibly nice things to say about Xander Schauffele, and he's such a great player, and he was going to win one of these, and he played great, and and he just said all the right things and did all the right things with going out there and congratulating him after he got done, and even though he was heartbroken to lose. Rory lost in a different fashion. I mean, he lost. He can't really. People are comparing the two, but Rory bogeyed 3 of the last 4 holes. I mean, Schauffele kind of took it from Bryson at the PGA. Rory didn't get it taken from him, even though Bryson hit a tremendous shot on 18. And one of the greatest shots ever played in major championship golf, considering the circumstances. It was tremendous, but Rory still he gave it away. He did not. Bryson didn't take it from him. Bryson had the door open, and he walked through it, and it was tremendous. But Rory gave him that opportunity to do it. So it's a whole different situation. And then Rory bolts, okay, afterwards. He bolts. He's shook up. He got in his car. They got him videoed, getting in his car and, speeding out of there, whatever he did, squealing the tires. Somebody said, I don't know if that happened, but he's on the plane. And they got it all clocked out. 59 minutes after the putt, his wheels up. He's out of there back to West Palm Beach. I'm not defending it. You got, they gotta. He'll be remembered for this. Bolting and not answering the questions. Now he came back the next day, and he came with a statement. I'm going to read this statement. He said, "Yesterday was a tough day, probably the toughest I've had in nearly 17 years of professional golf. I'm sure that goes without saying that. He gave up one, like he gave up one. He shoulda, coulda. No doubt about it. Like Tiger's never lost one like that. I don't know if Jack ever lost one like that. Norman lost one like that. So now you're kind of in the I don't know if Faldo ever lost one like that. That's a I mean, Tom Watson kind of lost one like that. The Open Championship, when he lost it like that on 18. Norman has lost them like that. But anyway, Rory lost a tough one. He says he sends out this on the X the day after. I'd like to congratulate Bryson. He's a worthy champion and exactly what professional golf needs right now. I think we can all agree on that. Now that is a nice thing to say. And Rory has been one of these guys that is done the flipper flopper big time on the LIV and the PGA Tour, kind of getting together and fixing what's going on in golf. And my God, this is subject for another while I'm at it. But Bryson DeChambeau is not playing in the Olympics. Are you kidding me? Geez, come on. World Golf rankings are picking the Olympic team, and he's not playing. 6th at the Masters, 2nd at the PGA, 1st at the U.S. Open, and he's not playing in the Olympics for the United States of America. They're gonna throw a Wyndham Clark and a Colin Morikawa out there with Schauffele. I give it to him, and Scheffler, I give it to him. PGA and Masters champion. But you're gonna throw those other two guys out there? Come on, seriously? Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open last year, but Bryson won it this year. That's absurd. U.S. Olympic Committee. That's how they're picking the team based on the World Golf ranking. That's ridiculous. But anyway, that's another subject. But Rory made a nice statement, and he said, "Hey, Bryson's exactly what golf needs right now." So it is. My God. That was really great theater, and the guy playing to the crowd. Golf needs some personalities. They really do. So here's Rory. As I reflect on my week, I'll rue a few things over the course of the tournament. Mostly the 2 missed putts on 16 or 18. A shot is a shot. You play one shot at a time, the best you can. The shot on the first hole means just as much as the shot on the last hole. If Bryson would have missed that putt on 18, and then we had a playoff, but let's just say Bryson would have lost by a shot. If I was looking back and I was, given an analysis of it, I would have blamed it on the 16th hole, the 3rd round, when he made double for no reason, had a wedge in his hand and made double. And I would blame it on the 3 putt he had on 15, more than the missed putt on 18. Now, with Rory, it's compounded. You have to play one shot at a time in golf. You just can't. You can't. It's like I tell people that the whole mental game boils down to playing one shot at a time. And you can't, how upset can you get at one shot? But when you pile 2 shots on 3 shots, 4 shots, you pile all these shots on top of one another, and this hole on top of this, and this round on top of that, and that's where you get frustrated, and that's where you get upset, and that's where you like Rory says, you're going to think about it. You're going to rue a few things. The putt on 16 was bad. The putt on 18 was a tough putt. Got a bad break on the drive. That wasn't an awful drive, but he got a bad break on the drive. It's kind of where you got to drive it. And, he's upset, and rightfully so, but it's because of the 2 misses. But you got to separate them. And that one of them, if you miss the one on 18, it's the last hole. So everybody says, well, you miss on the last hole, and it's you choked. And I don't really think that's necessarily the case. Now you miss 2 of them on the last 3 holes, and then it looks like a big choke. I just have a hard time going there. I don't know. I just look. I look at each one individually. Okay, I think the decision on 15 to flight one in there, that's a bad decision. I might have to throw a little choke at you there. The putt on 16, I might have to throw a little choke at you there. The putt on 18, I think independently, I don't know if I could throw a choke at you. That was a hard putt. But, he had missed a putt all year, like 456 putts inside of 3 feet, and he misses one on 16. That one was not good. But like here's what Rory continued to say. He said, I look at all the positives of the week. They far outweigh the negatives. Of course they do. He had a good shot. He had the lead at the U.S. Open on Sunday and had a chance to win. He said at the start of the tournament, he said, I feel closer to winning my next major than I ever have. I'm sure that's the case. The word, he said, the word that I would describe my career as is resilient. I've shown my resilience over and over again in the last 17 years, and I will again. And won a major in 10 years, so he hadn't been resilient in that area. He said, I'm going to take a few weeks away from the game to process everything and build myself back up for my defense of the Genesis Scottish Open and the Open at Royal Troon. So he's out for the Travelers. That's an elevated tournament. I thought everybody had to play, but he's out because he's got to build himself back up. And the fact that he has to build himself back up is understandable. I think anybody would have to build themselves back up. But he's had these deals before where he needs to build himself back up. So there's it's hard to think that there isn't a little something there, mentally. But I look at it and I think, okay, how many times has he been in serious contention to win a major and not won? And how many times has he been in serious contention to win a major and has won? And he's won 4 majors. So my question is, how many times has he been in serious contention on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday and didn't get the job done? Now, I know he got it done 4 times. How many times did he not get it done? And what is the percentage of that champions, like for players who have won more than 2 majors, what is the percentage of closing out tournaments, major championships, when you're on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday? And it is not 50%. Okay, it is not even close to 50%. So the fact that he didn't get it done, is more the norm than getting it done is. Not everybody can, has that is on the lead or tied for lead gets it done. I mean, on Sunday, it was 2 players on the lead or tied for lead, Rory and Bryson DeChambeau. and one of them got it done, and one of them didn't. And that was there's the 50%. Okay, at the PGA, Bryson was on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday at the PGA. He didn't get it done. So he's at 50%. So that's just over this year. You're not going to get it done every time. And, I guess Rory thinks he's going to get it done every time just because he's resilient and because he, is this great driver of the golf ball and this and that. He made enough putts to win. But I understand how hard it is to win major championships. Now, I've only coached at major championships, but I saw how hard it was to win. And just because you're great, and just because you get in a position where you're on the lead or tied for lead on Sunday, that does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that you are going to close it out every single time. I don't care if you're Tiger Woods, if you're Jack Nicklaus, if you're Rory McIlroy, you can be whoever you want to be. You are not going to close it out every single time you're tied for the lead or on the lead on Sunday. Now, the way that he didn't close it out is probably more troubling than anything. Bogeying 3 out of the last 4 and missing the 2 short putts. But it's just not an absolute given. It's not an absolute given that you're gonna close it out. And all this talk about how Rory hasn't won a major, it keeps piling up. But to win a major, you have to get in serious contention. And you have to do it more than once. In all likelihood, you're going to have to do it more than once if you're going to be able to do it. I think the statistic is for players who have won more than 2 majors, they win like 1 out of every 3 times they're in serious contention. And Tiger's percentage was higher than that. But Rory's is not. And but I don't know how far off it is from that, from where Tiger was. It's not like Rory's been on the lead or tied for lead 6 times since 2014 and he hasn't won yet. That is not the case. He has not been there. They had a lot of top 10s, but like I said, they're back doors. They're running in the back door with a 66 on the last round, and he got a 9th, and everybody says, well, he another top 10, but he can't win. That's different than being on the lead or tied for the lead. So Bryson gets it done, Rory doesn't, but you're not going to get it done every time. That's something that just sticks in my mind. I know people think he choked or whatever, and I know he thinks he gave this tournament away, and it's the bogeying 3 last 4 is not good, but the shot on the first hole is just as important as the shot on the 72nd hole, and you're not going to win them all, and he didn't win this one. One guy wins, one guy doesn't. Will Rory win again? How many majors will he win? I would say that it would be shocking, as good as he is, if he doesn't win another major. But I would probably, as hard as it is to win majors, like I saw like somebody said, how many will Bryson win? And everybody thinks that the floodgates open every time one of these guys wins. But if I was, guessing, I would think, Rory might win 1 or 2 more, and Bryson might win 1 or 2 more. I mean, they are so hard to win. Think of all the things that Bryson DeChambeau had to do to win by 1 shot. All the shots he hit it in the native areas, and how few times he couldn't advance the ball to the green. Think about that. Think about the up and ins he made. Think about the up and ins he made from just what people were saying were nearly impossible spots. Think about the par putts that he made. Think about the hole out from off the green. Think about the fact that Rory McIlroy bogeyed 3 out of the last 4 holes. Think about the fact that Bryson DeChambeau got it up and in from 55 yards, one of the greatest shots ever hit in major championship golf history. Think about all those things he had to do to win by 1 shot. And think about how hard it is to recreate that formula multiple times in your career. No matter how far you hit it, no matter how talented you are, it is not easy to win major championships. And the people say, oh, this guy's going to win one, this guy's going to win one, this guy's going to win one. They only have 4 a year, and there are a lot of great players, and you have to have a lot of things go your way to win one. It went Bryson's way. It didn't go Rory's way. He'll get over it. Who knows how long it'll take. He'll win another one, I'm sure. He won't get shut out the rest of his career, and he'll come back. Hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. Hope you enjoyed my analysis. Hit the follow button on the iHeartRadio app, and check me out on nofilter.net and the Hank Haney channel on the YouTube, Hank Haney Podcast. That's where you find it. Hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon on the Hank Haney Podcast.